Okay, this is the very first story time. This one is definitely going to be a bit interesting, maybe a bit cringy to some people, but whatever, fuck it. So, I have actually been ready to come back for a very long time, sort of. So, I stopped creating videos a while back because I wanted to do other things. I just got a girlfriend. I was still in college, working on my job, working on a career, things like that. And it was just a lot of things at once. So I quit this for a little bit just to know to come back to it later. But in the meantime, I had to go. So finally, I decided to come back, but I wanted to do it in a big way. So I've been saving up for money for a very long time, and I was like, "Fuck it, let's do it." And I just decided to spend. I think it was like $3,200, something like that, on a gaming PC. Me and my friend, he knows a lot more about this stuff than I do, so I met up with him. He picked out all the parts. I gave him the budget, and then he said, "Okay, this sounds good." We order everything. Everything comes in after a couple days, even with all this COVID shit happening. And we finally decided to do it. We start putting everything together. He's showing me how to do it all because I don't have the slightest clue. He's doing all this stuff, and I'm just kind of staring at him like, cool. Never first time I've done any of this. So finally, we get the thing and it's done. And then I literally changed my entire setup. Like, I wish I took a before photo, but it was literally just like a desk that was messy as shit and two screens on it, and that was about it. But then I changed the entire setup, which I'm assuming you're gonna see here, because future me has to still edit all this. Current me is just sitting staring at a fucking screen with a mic in front of me. But so I move everything. I rearrange this little area that I did everything in, and I create this great setup. And some people might actually, like, who's also following me through Twitch and everything, is gonna see the Twitch streams that I started doing, and I started recording again. And it was a good time for maybe a month at max, like 2 to 3 weeks. Um, and then my computer, like right after a stream or something, freezes, and I had to restart it. So I knew that was a bad sign, but I was like, let's see what happens. I tell my friend about it. He goes, okay, just keep me posted. It's not a good thing, but it's not the end of the world. Like, okay. So then it starts giving me blue screens, and I'm like, fuck me. Um, so finally, me and him, we start taking it apart. We start putting it back together, and can't find any issue with it. Still giving us blue screens. We're checking all the drives. We're checking everything in this software-wise and hardware-wise, and cannot find a single issue. So you have no idea why it's giving me these. There was like multiple different ones. If like it would rotate between different blue screens. So finally, I take it to a place for it to be repaired. And I drop it off, leave for a max of 20 minutes. And the dude calls me back and says, okay, so I literally just started on the computer, turned it on, and then it just stopped giving video. And I'm like, excuse me? And he goes like, yeah, it's just not giving off any video. I'm sorry, but like I can't really do anything. I don't have anything for like that type of issue. And I'm like, okay, that makes no sense considering how you're a computer repair place, but fuck it, I guess. So I go and I pick it up, and I bring it to a different place on a different day because fuck me, right? They were closed, the other place I wanted to bring it to. I brought it to them, drop it off. They worked on it for probably about a week and get nowhere. They tell me they can't do anything, that it's a memory issue with the motherboard, and they physically can't do anything. So I'm like, cool, great. So I take apart the PC. I contact ROG, which I got the motherboard through. Actually, let me sidetrack real quick. Here are all like the different parts you're gonna start seeing on your screen. The processor, motherboard, graphics card, coolers slash fan, all the whole shebang. Very expensive. RAM, yada yada yada. So probably gonna see that whiz across your screen real quick. But so back to the story. So then I contact ROG and I say, hey, I've had this motherboard for literally like a month at max, like not even, and it's broken. And they go, okay, let us try to fix it. So I send it to them. They repair it, or not repair it, actually. They give me a full replacement, send it back to me. Now, honestly, I first looked at this paper, and I don't remember exactly word for word what it said something really stupid like it said that there wasn't a repair, which really worried me, but then it said there was like a replacement or like something along that line, but then it said like the product name. So I'm staring at it, I'm thinking, okay, this either means that they did like it says there's a replacement due to product something. So I'm thinking that they either did jack shit and they just sent it back to me saying, oh, it didn't meet the warranty guidelines, or they just gave me a brand new one. So I plug everything back in, and then the computer's not turning on, and it's not giving video or anything, and I'm like, they sent me the same goddamn thing. So I send them a very strongly worded email. Yes, so threatening. And the fuckers send me back an equally strongly worded email, not really, in like nice terms of strongly worded emails, saying we did replace it. That's brand new. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm a jackass. I was fueled with rage, okay? So I'm like, what the ever living hell? And so while all this is going on, I decided that even though I just redid my entire downstairs area and moved all my stuff to that setup that you just saw a little bit ago, I then redid it again. And here's the new setup, now with a working computer at least. I don't really know why I redid it again, but I did. And also, while all this is happening, my other old computer that I used before this one broke, or like before I got the $3,000 one, also started giving me blue screens and stopped working. So I went completely without a computer for like a week. But that one, I literally gave it to the same company as before. Not ROG, but the first company I went to that couldn't do anything for my expensive computer. And I just told them factory reset it. And they did. I got that. And I was using that. That's the computer I was using to contact ROG. So yeah, I got back the new motherboard. Still wasn't working. So now I'm starting to look things up, like what is the issue here. Then I learned very quickly that basically everything that I looked up and everything, like all the symptoms and everything, they said it was a CPU issue. So I'm like, okay. So then I realized that my case has like the case for my computer has a very weak small magnet attached to the top of it to like hold down this little thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a vent basically. And I realized I put the CPU really close to it to potentially on it for quite some time. So I'm thinking, great, I fucked up my CPU. And then I decided, okay, I'll get the CPU replaced. But I was really sick and tired of waiting, and I'm just like, I just want this fucking thing to work. And so what I decided to do was I decided to buy another CPU as I send my current CPU to get repaired. And, you know, CPUs are definitely not the cheapest thing in the world. But I was like, you know, after I just get the other one repaired, I'll just sell it. It won't be that big of a deal, which I'm currently going to be selling it. So if anyone wants some computer parts, check eBay here soon because all that shit's going to go up there because I have no other way of selling it. But I put the CPU in it, and it's still not working, and I'm at my breaking point. And so finally, I listened to my one friend because he got his computer built through the Micro Center. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll use them. They are a very far drive from where I live. So it was a shit show, but I had to drive about an hour to get to the Micro Center closest to me and drop it off. I told them the issue, And I kind of wish I listened to them now, because like, so she's the lady I was talking to was like, let me check the computer real quick, see if I can give you a quick, like, just quick fix before you go, that way you don't have to spend a lot of money on us. And I'm like, okay. And I knew no matter what she was going to say, unless it was the simplest thing in the world, that I wasn't going to not leave it with them, because as I said, I really just wanted it repaired. Unless they were about to ask for like $500 to repair this stupid thing, I wanted it repaired, and I was not going to deal with it anymore. And so, yeah. So finally, she starts telling me, apparently my motherboard has lights. So I knew that it has a red, well, like yellowish orange, and a green light, and that the lights like signify what's going on. Green means go, obviously, the computer's working. Red is like it's fucked up. And orange, which is the light that it was giving me before when it wasn't giving me any video, means, there's a problem. So I knew there was a problem, but I knew at least this time, like, it wasn't before where I had no idea what the problem was. This time I could sort of tell for the most part, but I didn't know, like, where. And then finally, it, apparently there are multiple of each light, or maybe at least the orange light, and it tells me what is the problem, which I had no idea until this lady brings it up, and she goes, it looks like, I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like your RAM is, the RAM orange light is lit up. I'm like, okay, but like all the lights are right next to each other, with very, very little space between them, so we couldn't really tell. And as I said, Alyssa was very simple, which honestly that was a very simple issue, but like because she wasn't 100% certain it was RAM, and she wouldn't, like, I didn't know what I'd have to do with it, I was like, fuck it, I'm leaving it here. And they're like, okay, that's fine, we won't be able to work on it for a couple of days. I'm like, okay. And so I go home after I dropped it off and everything, and I actually went on a mini vacation. That could be story time for another time if people really want to hear it. Yeah. And I went on vacation, and then I came back. Apparently, even though I had to tell them my number 3 to 4 times, they messed up my number somewhere in their system. And the day I got back, it was the day that they were supposedly got to it, and apparently it was the same day that they fixed it. So then I had to wait an additional day, or yeah, just an additional day, for them to call me at work and say, hey, oh, no, not to call me right before work and say, hey, I'm very sorry, we had the wrong number when we text you, it's fine, there was a RAM issue, one of your RAM cards is broken. So, like, I love the fact that I had a motherboard and a RAM that I received at least somewhat, like, dysfunctional. Because, like, the RAM card, like, I didn't do anything to it besides take it out and put it back in. And then I technically had a CPU that wasn't dysfunctional, but I did take it out and leave it by magnet for a little bit. Which I did look up, obviously, like, can magnets hurt them? And there's, like, yes, magnets can, but weak magnets shouldn't. And I'm like, well, this is a weak magnet, but I left it on the magnet for, like, I don't know, a couple days, so maybe it did something. That was my worry. And so I got it back. I went the next time I had the opportunity. I picked it up, which was honestly like yesterday. I brought it back home. I had to go to work, unfortunately, so I was pissed that I couldn't do anything with it. I finally, that night when I got off from work, I set the entire thing up. And at first, I was about to cry. So I turned this thing on, and it goes immediately to red. Like, it goes orange, then red light. And I'm like, I'm going to kill someone. And it then, like, it goes back to orange, then back to red, then back to orange, and then goes green. And I am the happiest man alive. I'm like, okay, finally, there we go. But I only connected my HDMI and power cord to it because I didn't want to unplug everything off my current computer and plug it into this one just for it to not work again. And then have to unplug it and plug it back in again, because I did that 4 to 5 times in the initial time my computer broke, because every time I took it a place, I brought it back, and like if it worked or if they said they worked or something like that, I plug it back, blah blah blah. I did a lot of plugging and unplugging that I didn't want to do again. So even though it gave me a green light, it gave me no video. So I, about panicking again, like I wanted to punch something. Um, Remember, I have a spare mouse and keyboard. So I plug those into them real quick and I try moving them. First didn't work. So I turn it off and I turn it back on. And it goes to orange, then goes straight to green. And I'm moving the keyboard and mouse and everything, and it actually works. And it goes into the thing, it goes into setup, it starts booting up, it boots up, it has everything saved still. And I'm like, oh, thank the Lord. Like, I was expecting everything to be saved, but like I wasn't sure if it was going to be the exact same or something like that. And it was. Like, I was so happy. So then I finally did. I unplugged everything, I plugged everything back in, and since then I've have worked, but I've been editing. I want to stream again, and I'm planning on getting into like hopefully a really good routine. I've graduated, and just bam. So I went through 3 different repair places. I'm currently in the process of sending back my what's it called? My RAM stick. I've happened to replace and receive a broken motherboard and RAM stick, and I even sent them probably a completely functioning CPU, just for them to send me a new, because they already like told me they're sending me a new completely functioning CPU just for me to sell. Which, as I said, check eBay. um, and I'm just baffled at how long and how much work all this took. And with everything that like else going on in my life at the same time, it was just very stressful and very annoying. And yeah, so here's one quick look at all the parts again. Maybe I'll throw in some of my setup and shit. And yeah, like hopefully things are looking up on the up and up. And if you do enjoy the story time, because bless me, I got plenty of stories I could tell. My life's a basket of fun. Then please like leave a comment and a like down below. If you want to see more from the channel and everything, please subscribe. And yeah, I'm ready for a new beginning. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'm going to bid you all adieu. Goodbye.